Catherine is going to hop over onto the computer to show us part of this update, part of this patch. And to accompany me on the couch, I have Simon Diguet, who is LiveOps and Analytics Director, coming accompanied. Hi.
Hello, Bill. Good
Hi.
evening. Hello, everyone.
How are you? You look to be in a fine mood.
I am actually in a very fine mood.
Good.
I'm happy to be back with you today. It's been a while since we've been on stream together. I think it was last year at the very least.
Oh, maybe even before that. I don't. Well, no, maybe not last year.
So yeah, super fine, super happy to be part of this amazing event and super happy to be able to talk with you about Endless Space 2.
Yeah. So what have you been up to?
So we have been cooking, but we have not been cooking alone. We have been getting some extra help from our dear community and dear players. So let me, before we jump into the actual meat of the conversation with Kat playing the game, just a bit of context and a reminder for everyone. So back in 2021 on Endless Space 2, we released a big expansion called Reawakening, introducing new mechanics related to the Academy. I have the shirt for the occasion, and a new faction, the Nakalim. And so unfortunately, for various reasons, but it's in the past now, let's say, it was not exactly delivering the vision that we initially wanted to. It was a bit below expectation, let's say. And players, you told it to us, you let us know, and we knew that it was something we were not entirely happy with. It was not satisfying. So we actually worked and reached out to some of our trusted community and community VIPs and modders, namely Cyrob and CaptainCobbs at the time. And so they worked on a specific community patch called Reawakening in order to actually work on those features that I was mentioning before, the Nakalim faction, the Academy, etc., and to make it better. So it was a long process and a lot of work at the time, but we managed to get it out thanks to the amazing work that Cyrob and CaptainCobbs put out. And so we released this patch in March 2024. Honestly, we were talking with Kat earlier. It feels like yesterday, so I'm feeling a bit old, but yeah. So that was already like almost 2 years ago. And then this patch was great, but there were still some things that we wanted to iron out, still some bugs remaining, etc. So we contracted again our dear CaptainCobbs to work with us again on this patch. We also got some help from other, Ninakoru, Fearsunn, Frostgremlin, and we released this additional community patch early December 2025. So this is actually fairly fresh, and we have been getting already tons of feedback. We hope that we will keep getting tons of feedback. And just before diving in the actual game, obviously, we said it before and we'll say it again, a big thank you to Cobbs, who has been carrying a lot on this project, to Cyrob for the initial patch, to Ninakoru, who has been super helpful and who has voluntarily gave us his work to make the actual game better, Fearsunn and Frostgremlin, who has contributed, and each and every single ES2 players that has been giving us feedback for 10 years now. We are super glad to be able to work with you, create stuff with you. It's a dream come true from a game developer. So yeah, I'll stop talking now so we can get some actual gameplay.
Yes. So I'm basically showing off both the Reawakening patch and the community patch here because we never showed Reawakening off on stream. And as you can see, as the Nakalim, I have taken over most of this arm here. But I'm at war with the pirates. As you often are in Endless Space 2. The war with the pirates never ends. And this is one of the big parts of the Reawakening patch, is that when we're working on Reawakening, we noticed other things that needed fixing, and with the community update we got around to them, and one of them was that the manpower wasn't quite working as intended. You were basically getting away scot-free with your military. So Cobbs went ahead and fixed the bugs, and then realized, yeah, but now I never have soldiers. So started rebalancing how much manpower you get and how effective the offensive and defensive improvements and strategies are. And there's not quite as much of a pushover anymore as before, because some of these strategies will actually now, when you defend, bombard the enemy as they land. It's a lot harder to take systems now. You will need to put a little more thought into managing your ground troops as it was originally intended 10 years ago.
Yeah, definitely. And typically, manpower, ground battle, those are very specific systems within Endless Space 2. They are an integral part of the entire game, but they are not the system where you are the most exposed to. And so sometimes as game developer, this is not necessarily the one that we had the most time to get polish and debug on. And that's why the collaboration with VIPs and players is actually super critical, because after 10 years of live of the game, they know the game better than us. It's a fact. You know, you cannot fight it. It's normal. Us, we are a company, we have people, we have turnover, it come and goes, etc., etc. That's part of the live. And we have passionate players who are actually super on point with what's happening in the game in terms of balance, etc. And so that's why the work that they were able to provide here, it's getting closer to actually the initial vision that we wanted to put.
And especially CaptainCobbs is very knowledgeable about the specifics of the game and what the community wants, because before we contracted him and paid him to help with Reawakening and the community patch, he had been working on the ESG mod for years and years. So he had experience both in the file structure, in fixing the game, but also in what players wanted and the balance concerns the players had, which expressed themselves here with making the invasions a little more meaty, I guess, a little more deadly. So food isn't as much of a throwaway resource anymore, because food gives you manpower. He also addressed in the Reawakening patch a lot of balance about the ship combat, but looking around, I don't think I have a fight on hand. So we would probably have to take a quick look at the designs here.
Yeah.
There are some... You might notice something a little strange here. This one, I'm not sure if we can keep it. We changed it so dark matter quests actually give you blueprints instead of single ships. But we've seen also some bug reports related to that, so we might have to reword it. Don't be too in love with it so far. But yeah, this is why, even though I have not researched them by far, they're somewhere over here, I do have access to a carrier. And that's good, because the squadrons is actually one of the biggest areas where Cobbs did balancing, because before they were just most of the time not worth it. They would not perform as well as you expected from the stats. And as he was working on that, he also noticed, or maybe he already had noticed with ESG, that there were tweaks necessary on the different weapon types, because we have the 2 energy weapons, the lasers and the beams. We have the 2 kinetic weapons, the missiles and the kinetic. And they had come a consensus among players which weapon types and loadouts are best. So he tried to make tweaks to give you more options on how you design your fleet and how you engage with the enemy, which then in turn necessitated rebalancing on the defensive modules, and then he looked at the support modules as well. And some support modules are now actually specific to hull types. So a lot of the modules that boost the entire fleet, you now need to put on a ship that specifically has support as a role. You cannot just stick them on your attacker that's bristling with guns anymore. So you need to work on actual fleet composition, which shook up the combat quite a lot. There was a lot of discussion about the changes back when they came out. I think now it has settled a little bit. But if you haven't touched the game in a while, I would recommend reading all of the tooltips when you design a ship very attentively.
Yeah,
because things are very different now.
Especially if you were an avid ship builder and ship crafter, now things have changed. Hopefully for the better. Again, coming back to the same idea about the manpower, we are getting into some very precise system within the game about the military part of the game, which not all players necessarily engage with. And in this part, we are talking about some specific model, but still, a lot of our players are super keen on the ID, especially the super expert player, and so same idea as before. Who else better than those core community VIP modders to help us about that? What else do we have, Kat? Do we have a little bit to talk about the academy, maybe? Is it the next thing?
The academy and the other empires. That's why I zoomed out. As you can see, part of the Awakening DLC is that the academy now expands and grabs other systems to control. And one of the improvements in the Reawakening patch is giving you more control during game setup about how much do they expand and how strong are they? How strong are their fleets? Which is very welcome because some players prefer the old way of the academy holds the one system, so you can just say like, no, the academy stays in that one system. It's fine. But the diplomacy has also been refined with this. The academy diplomacy. When you make your contributions in the requests, because of course Ysander being Ysander, he always demands bribes. Oh, nope, closed that one too far. It will, when the vote resolves, give you standing with Ysander that you can then trade in. You can ask him to tell you about all of the heroes, which might be valuable military intelligence, or you can have him protect you against crusades, which is actually also a new feature. One of the roles has expanded abilities now and can basically declare you a heretic and make it easy for everyone to hunt you down. It's not fun. And every faction also gets a unique action. In this case, I could ask him to hand me some relics because I'm playing the Nakalim, and that might be quite useful for me. Or I could just ask him for a fleet, even though I didn't get the role for the spear. But to get the standing, you will have to make some investments in the role assignment, which before was very easy to ignore. If you didn't feel you had the need for the fleet or for the laws of a different party, you could just ignore it. But now there's always a benefit to actually sending him some of the resources he wants.
Yeah, and I feel that not only it was easy to ignore, but it was also fairly easy to engage with without giving so much of a thought. Whereas now, again, we have been getting into something deeper. And thanks to the December patch, something that is actually matching our expectation as well in terms of balancing, bug fix, and should be the final version of what we were aiming at.
And now to turn to the other empires, it's less obvious here what I'm going to talk about because I'm only playing on hard, since I'm very rusty and didn't have time to practice with the new changes. But on the higher difficulties, series and above, the AI is now actually engaging better with the various gameplay systems, and especially with the faction unique systems. And that has been maybe a bit controversial, because some players who found it too easy or endless are very happy and have been saying like, oh yes, the AI has teeth now, this is nice, I actually have to think about my strategy. But at the same time, of course, we broke their old habits, and it's never fun when something breaks your old habits. We've all been there when Discord updated their UI and everything is different now, so now everything is bad. That's kind of what happened here with the AI, because they are more competent now. And
but 2 years down the line, you look back at the old UI and think, oh my God, how did I ever like that?
Hopefully.
Yes.
That's the idea. And indeed, I think that at the end of the day, the AI changes are maybe the biggest part, or at least a significant part of the December patch.
Yes.
And indeed, while controversial maybe, it has elicited some strong reaction.
Yes,
That's for sure. And it's interesting because, again, coming back to the initial vision that we had on the game, the AI is actually now closer to the skill level that we wanted to give them initially. Because there were actually some very hidden bug fixes within the code when it comes to using the specifics of a certain asymmetry for the AI. And now it feels that it is competent as it should be, whereas before it was a bit broken. But as Kat was perfectly saying, I can understand that when you have been playing a game for 10 years and you have your routine, your way of doing things, all of a sudden you launch the game, you didn't ask for anything, and what you were doing before, it doesn't work. So that's, we fully understand and we acknowledge it, it's normal. But for those players who are uncertain about those changes, we really ask you to try, give it another shot. Give it another shot. Maybe put your ego a little bit aside. I am a gamer as well. I have my ego. I like to launch my game in hard, but sometimes it's too difficult for me. Try it again, maybe in hard difficulty or in normal. Try to see what are the changes with the AI, with the manpower, how it's impacting food production, etc. And we hope that after giving it a couple of goals, you'll actually see that the AI is giving you the challenge that you want to get, and that you have been getting better and smarter while playing. At least that's what we hope. As usual, we are checking your feedback.
Yes, we are keeping an eye on the feedback every day. Well, almost every day, not Saturdays and Sundays.
Yes,
I read that feedback on Mondays.
Every day on working hours, obviously.
But yeah, and in defense of the players who found that it's now too hard, we did hit them with a 1, 2, 3 punch of the AI is more competent now, and we throw out your old combat strategies, and we threw out your old invasion strategies.
Yes.
So that's a lot of change at once, and that
definitely
takes some getting used to, especially if not everybody all the time checks the full patch notes when a patch releases. Just you see, oh, there's a new update, you skim over it, and then you get playing, and the changes might be more substantial than you realize from just looking at the overview.
Yeah. Even for us, to a certain extent, it was back when we were. The initial idea of the community patch was closer to making an update on Reawakening and adding a couple of fixes, and then we saw the opportunity. We discussed with Cobbs, we discussed with Ninakoru, and so we'll be listening and we'll be reading. As always, we have seen a lot of positive reaction about the changes, and that's why we are committed to keeping them out. But if a lot of you are feeling strongly about it, well, we'll try to do what we can to make it the best as possible. But as long as you are playing Endless Space 2, as long as you are sharing your feedback, as long as you are spreading your love, anything bad, nothing bad can happen.
All right.
Yes.
Well, thank you.
I guess some closing words about the Nakalim to quickly,
Yes,
quick fire,
of course.
quick fire show of some of the new features. Well, a quick fire. Yes, you can see that this. I have never launched Endless Space 2 on this PC before, by the fact that all of the notifications are still turned on. So, the Nakalim with the Reawakening patch have something called Slumbering Ruins, which you can see from the little Nakalim symbol next to the name. And you can claim these with any ship. You don't need a colony ship. Just bring a ship there, reawaken the ruins, and they will actually start with some of the basic improvements here already built when you claim them. Of course, I claimed this one 60 turns ago. It's way more built up now. But if I were... Well, I think the other one that I found the Academy has claimed, unfortunately. But there's like a couple of these dotted around the galaxy. You can claim them.
And that's the kind of fallen empire side
Exactly.
of it.
That's one of the big feedbacks we had gotten from players on Awakening was like, the idea is cool, but it doesn't actually feel like a fallen empire. And so that works to reinforce that. And also when you start...
gameplay with lore.
Yes, exactly. And you start with like a big vision radius around your home system, actually, because, yes, of course, you remember the shape of the galaxy. It's might change a little, but not that much in like 10,000 years. And then to reinforce the relic gameplay and the worship of the lost, firstly, the relics all like spawn a little away from you. You actually need to go out and find them. They're not going to be on the next door system. But you also have new special improvements, the Temple of the Lost, which turns a planet into an influence powerhouse. And if you have enough of them, you can even... where is it? Oh, come on. I need to expand this. Somewhere in here should be something... yes, there. The Cathedral of the Lost. So you build a grand house of worship, which gives you significant bonuses. But you need to erect a couple of temples first. And once you have one of these cathedrals, then you can spend your relics at the Empire level for nice bonuses. And no base disapproval on planets can actually be quite useful. So, but you need to work for it. They don't just freely, or, well, it wasn't entirely free before, but it was very easy to unlock them. Now there's a little bit of effort involved in using the relics to enhance your empire.
And again, getting more consistent with the lore, getting more consistent with the initial fantasy that we had for this faction. So it feels extremely satisfying to be sitting here today and to see that after all these years, again, thanks to the effort of everyone, we were able to actually iterate and deliver upon this vision to have something which is closer to what we wanted to do with this whole Fallen Empire vision. So
Awesome. Well, it is very, very cool to see all the improvements and everything that's been added to the game, that keeps being added to the game so many years after it came out from the studio, but also thanks to the community. So very, very good work. And thank you both for your expert insight.
thank you, Bill. Thank you, everyone. Keep playing ES2, obviously. Keep sharing feedbacks. We love you.
So, so this patch, the idea behind this patch was to really extend the life of ES2 over time. Now that it's a mature game, so it's really, really cool to see all these updates.